Hit record. All right, welcome everyone. This is the Next Level Firms group Q&A call, March 9th, 2017. Andrew Argue here. And for those of you that are new this week, basically how these calls go is I kind of do any updates or announcements to the program and to the processes and the methods that we're using. And then after that, we just jump right into Q&A. So I've got a brief preview to an announcement that I'm going to make next week in the Facebook group, so you guys will see this. But really, there's a couple of things we're going to be changing in the next few weeks. I mean, number one, some of you have seen the program right now is going to be going to 12 weeks, which a lot of you already have access to the 12-week program. That includes not only the sales and marketing support, but also the technical. We got somebody here giving some feedback. Let's mute this. Okay. Yeah, sometimes when you guys call in on a phone, make sure you can go ahead and mute yourself. But so we've got the 12-week program, which includes not only the sales and marketing support, but also the technical, accounting, monthly bookkeeping, outsourced controller and CFO, and individual and business tax. And so you'll see that in the new 12-week program. And now some of you on here still have the 8-week. If you want the 12-week, just go ahead and shoot an email to support@andrewargue.com. Everybody that's currently in the Facebook group will get that upgrade for free. So I'm very excited about that. We're also going to be doing more coaching calls. So we're going to be doing more Q&A calls. Right now, we've just been doing 2 Q&A calls a week. We're going to be going to 3 Q&A calls. It's going to be 2 to 3 depending on the week. 2 to 3 Q&A calls per week. And so that'll be happening, I think, the week of the 20th. And then also, we just figured out that we're going to be getting certifications to the program. So we partner with another company called Universal Accounting, and people that go through Next Level will be able to get a certification called the Professional Tax Preparer. These are real, accredited certifications, or PTP. You can also get the Professional Bookkeeper, which is the PB. And you can also get the QuickBooks Specialist. And so basically, this is called, I think, the QS, yeah. And basically, if you go through Next Level, we're basically sponsoring anyone that wants to become certified as a PTP, a PB, or a QS. And you can take the test, and you can literally use that as a certification on your LinkedIn profile or in your marketing or however you want. I always say that you don't need a license or a degree or certification. That's totally true. But for some people that are coming in and they have a little bit of that insecurity, they want that, I'm not going to let anyone do that first. I'm not going to let somebody say, oh, I got to get a certification before I go out and get clients. Absolutely not. But if it is something that you want to add and you want to use to beef up sort of your credibility, those are going to be available in the program for free. And so you'll be able to take that. And all of that is going to be announced probably next week. But lots and lots of changes. So we're expanding the program in terms of the amount of support that we're giving. We're expanding the program into different types of, not just the sales and marketing, but also the technical accounting. And then we're also going to be providing certifications through the program. The cool part is that the price is going to be the same of Next Level. So it's just going to be more value for the same price. And everyone that is currently in gets upgraded for free. So I'm very, very excited about that. So I just want to provide even more value to everybody that's come through the program, even more value to the community, and just keep the price the same and upgrade everybody. I just want to keep providing more value for the same investment. I think that's kind of the strategy. So I'm excited about it. I'm super pumped, and I would love any feedback that you guys have on the new program and the new arrangements as we start to roll things out over the next few weeks. But you'll see some more announcements made about it in the Facebook group next week and the week of the 20th. So that's pretty much some of the announcements and a sneak peek of what's coming up. And I'm pumped about it. It's just a much wider, broader direction. A lot more people, a lot different types of people will be coming into Next Level. We're going to be growing the community a lot this year. And yeah, that's a bit of a sneak peek about some announcements we'll have next week. And other than that, no other major updates to the program or the methods and the processes that we're using to grow. Dawn, I think, is saying that she's having some difficulty getting on. Let me see if I can give her a quick message. Try and log back in. Okay, and after I do the updates to the group and the community, and then after that we just go right into Q&A. And so we can do that now. If anybody has any questions, you can just let me know in the chat. You can just say, I have a question, and I'm happy to unmute you. And if you can't be unmuted because you are if you can't be unmuted because you're in a Starbucks or something like that, just go ahead and type your question in the chat, and I will do my best to answer it there. Jeff says, do we have to ask to get extended to the 12 weeks, or will it happen automatically? Good question, Jeff. So if anybody wants to get extended or wants to get upgraded to the 12 weeks, just email support@andrewarq.com and you will get that. Really, in the 12 week, there's a lot of awesome stuff in week 1, and I've really shortened down the sales and marketing the first 5 weeks, and then the rest of the program is all technical. And so there's just so much more in there. And so absolutely, if anybody wants that, go ahead and send an email or to andrewarq.com and just say, upgrade me to the 12 week, and you'll be all set. All right, Christina, you are up. So whenever you're ready, go ahead and unmute yourself.
All right, thank you so much. I'm super excited about this program.
Absolutely, thank you.
And my friend Alan Leslie, I've been helping him, and I said, just sign up for this, just sign up for this coaching call. I'm not helping you anymore until you sign up. So he should be on. He should be on soon. He is very excited about it, and he didn't even know this new part. So so last night I had just a little meeting with a new client, and I'm glad I'm getting this practice with like my kind of current clients and easy referrals. So then, after tax season, when I'm meeting with all these mean lawyers, I'll be more comfortable.
No, absolutely.
But last night I met with so a new client, and so until just I'd like some critique. I keep just reading over your script over and over again. I usually just have it out. Love the incentive-based pricing. I know that really got me to join, because you that first price was like, oh, and then it's like, oh, wait, I can get this off. Okay. So I love that. It really, I'm so glad I joined. So I loved it when Ben did it to me, and so I like that. So last night I was with a new client. It was pretty simple. He is just starting he just bought a rental property, so we really talked about that, and he wanted some basically consulting and advice, but he doesn't have it. It won't be on his return for the one I'm going to do this year, so it was really simple. So what I did was, and I really talked to him about incorporation and how important that was, because they're just about to buy this property. And so I did get that. I did the incentive-based pricing, so I said the tax return just for 2016 is $800. Incorporating would be $3,000. And our state gets like $300 of that, but I just include it all in. $3,000. But if you go ahead and do it tonight, because I know it's so important, and I don't want to, I waste time chasing people around, $2,500. And that worked great. So they decided to do it. I also, and I messed this up, I do wills and trusts. And I do have the will create a trust, so I charge. It's just so much more valuable that way. So I do charge quite a bit for that. And I did leave them with that, and they're very excited about it. But I can do the incentive-based pricing with that as well. So, and I usually charge $1,600 for the whole package. It's a whole estate planning package. So I could do like the $2,000. Like, okay, well, usually that would be $2,000, but if you go ahead and do it tonight and pay half up front, you can do it for $1,600.
I would do,
which I didn't do last night.
With the incentive, I always want to try to make it at least $1,000, because it's like that really will make a difference for somebody. But yeah, I think for the first one, the $2,500, just crush it on that engagement and then just make them happy, and then you won't even need to do that incentive on them again. You can just have a conversation and see if they want to do the estate planning.
Okay, yeah, because they work. So I just need to follow up with them and.
Well, do they know?
Sure.
Do they think that it's all of those engagements in one, or do they not even know about the estate planning yet?
Oh no, they did. I went on and told them that it's $1,600, but I should have gone on and gotten half of it up front. And so, what's the best way to present that? Because what I used to do is I would wait until because I leave them with a checklist. Yeah, this does not work well. And then when they send me the checklist, then I get the $800 up front. But I should have just gotten the $800 up front last night.
How much did you get last night?
How should I? Oh, so last night I got $3,300. So good. I got the 800 for the tax return. And I was so excited about that. I think I just kind of blanked out.
Don't worry about it. Honestly,
But
I wouldn't worry about it because the way I look at the payments isn't so much like per service. All right, someone's got some background noise on here. Yeah, the way I look at the payments is I don't really worry too much about it in terms of like a per service, just in terms of can we get something? And so if they already gave you the 3,300, I wouldn't even worry about the rest of it because you know they're going to be able to do it. I mean, they're a paying client. I just would make sure not to give them any of the deliverables. But look, I mean, in terms of the whole engagement, you've already got the majority of the payment. So I'm not even, I think you did everything right. I wouldn't even worry about it. I think, look, they did the full payment on the 2,500. They didn't need to do that. And they just need to do the 1,600 and just make sure you don't give it to them until they do. You can unmute yourself on your side, *6 if you're calling from your phone, because I think I might have muted you because I heard some background noise.
Okay, sorry, I had to sign for a package
No.
while you were talking, but I did hear that. Okay, so so is the incorporation, is that, so should I say, so I can incorporate you, and there's 3,500 for the incorporation, but if you do it tonight, it's 2,500. Is that how I should do it?
That's perfect. Actually, that's exactly right. And yeah, I think 2,500 is good. Like when you're packaging things together and you're doing one for 2,500, one for 1,600, I think that's fine. But for any one service, I just don't want to do it for less than 2,500. But I think the way you did it is fine. So it's 3,300 plus 1,600, so it's 4,900 overall, and you've gotten 33 of it so far.
Great. And then I have a tax strategy tonight. Another one, I've just got like so many meetings, so I'm super excited. And then, so, and I know you said not to do incentive-based pricing on current clients. I do like it. So, okay, so here's the thing for tomorrow night, and I'm sorry I talked about this in the last call too, but I really want to do this for this client, do this tax savings, and I want to get it right. And I undercharged him last year. So I only did 800 when I did his tax return last year, and it was the first time for me to do it. So it's a big leap. I was going to charge to do, but I'm going to save him 18,000 this year. This is the one that's going to make the 300,000.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
In 2017 that I talked about, and I'm sorry to repeat myself, but so I'm going to do 5,000 for that front. If he does it now, I'll do 4,000, and then 4,500 for the S Corp return, including, doing like the 941s and the W2 and the W3. That's a kind of a big deal. That's just such a big leap. I think I'd feel better doing the incentive pricing. Is that okay? Yeah,
it's totally fine. I mean, it's totally about like the way that you feel about it, because in sales, it's just all about what you believe. If you believe what you have is too expensive, it's too expensive. If you believe it's too cheap, it's too cheap. If you believe that it's going to work, it's going to work. Because the way it works with the strategy sessions is that the people hear your tone, they hear your words, they hear your breathing, they hear your pauses and their tonality, and they can sniff insecurity, and they can sniff confidence. And so you like that it was done to you, you like doing it to other people, you feel like it's the right way to do business, and so because you don't feel a shred of discomfort with it, go for it.
Great. Okay. And then, so tonight, when I talk to my client and I do that, if he doesn't do it, another thing I want to do is I want to raise them. And I've been doing this with a lot of my clients. Like you said, I've doubled my prices, and I've only lost so far one, which has been great. And I wanted to lose them anyway. So I want to take them from 800 to 1,500.
Well, but make sure he understands, though, because it's like, okay, so if he goes from 800 to 1,500, then he's going to also pay an additional 18,000 in taxes, right? If we go through,
right. I could, but I mean, there's still things I can do for him. I can do the SEP IRA. I mean, I won't go into that. Plus, I've been telling my clients, this is what I've been doing, saying I'm here for you all year long, for advice, for any help. And if you ever get an IRS notice, which everyone's scared to death of that, I said, I take care of it because I have a lot of experience with that. I've been in that for a few years. And I make sure that you're getting the most. I am your tax savings specialist. And that's how I've been introducing it when I'm doubling my prices. I said, so for all that I'm providing for you, then your price this year is going to be this and this.
Yeah. Well, what I would say is, so you're saying 1,500 for the current year or for 2017's return?
No, for 2016. If you think it's okay. If
That's
you don't,
fine.
if you think I should leave it, I'm fine with that.
Well, I mean, to me, it's a simple return, right? Because he just has a basic thing. I don't really care that much about this year because it's only 700. Really, where you're going to make everything is on the tax planning and the future return. So I mean, yeah, I think you should do. I wouldn't even care. Like, put it at the 1,500, and then if he fights on it, you can say that that'll be your first thing to give way on. But don't give way on the tax planning because he really needs to go through that. Otherwise, he's going to be losing. So, but I would say go for the 15, and then if he's freaking out about everything, then that's the first thing you give way on, and you just say, look, I'm happy to keep the one, but we have to go through this process because in the next year, otherwise, you're not going to be paying me 800 next year. You're going to be paying me 19,000 if you include what you're overpaying the IRS.
Yes, and I really think he's going to go for it. Because I didn't do this right when I met with him in our initial engagement, and so I kind of alluded to what I was going to say to him when I called him back, and he said, well, but I'm not going to be making this much every year. But then I figured it out, and I can say, look, if you took a loss, you'd have to take a loss for 7 more years to make up for the difference of of the price that you're going to pay compared to the savings, just to break even. And there's no way he's going to take a loss for 7 more years.
Yeah, so. I think, yeah, exactly. I think he'll go for it. Just make sure he clearly sees the differences. And the reason why you didn't do it last year is because he wasn't making any money, and this year he's going to make 300. So it's totally different business.
Exactly. Yeah, this is a perfect setup. So I feel confident about this. And then one last question. I met last night with my financial advisor, who's also a tax client. I'm going to do a tax strategy session with her. Same kind of situation. I'm super excited. But she also asked me if I could do like a quick tax class for like all her clients, and also she goes to this MMA boxing gym, and the owner, he wants me to do a tax class like for all his clients and his employees. So what do you think? Like, I thought just a 30-minute kind of high level, but then maybe getting some clients from it.
Yeah. Well, how long would the presentation be?
Oh, 30 minutes.
And how many people would be there?
I don't know. We're not working that out, but I could be a lot.
Well, what I would basically do is do it. If it's only 30 minutes, do it for free, and then just say that at the end you're going to have your calendar, and you're going to have people come up and schedule a time to walk through their situation and see if you can't reduce their tax liability. Just have them sign up all right there before you leave.
Love it. And do you have anything, like, I know you have so many templates and slides, anything you could give me to kind of go with that, or just make my own thing?
Here's what I would say, right? So, and this is especially for the financial advisor, here's what I would say, and this would be really cool. So I would say, look, here's the thing, is that when you look at someone's life, like in the past, and I would kind of give a story presentation kind of like this. And this is what I think people that do really good job with tax planning, and also rope in the financial advisor, and like also kind of even the financial coaching, like it all kind of comes back to this. It's like we've got the past, and then we've got like a moment in time, which is now, which is where we finally like look at our taxable situation and we make a decision to change it going forward. And then we've got the future. So in the past, let's say that, and we don't know, and you're just going to say, I don't know based on your specific situation until I walk through it with you. But I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that every year lose, 20 to 50,000 or whatever number you want to say, with stories that you can share to people. And they might have been doing this for, let's say 3 to 10 years, depending on the type of person, 3 to 10 years. And so they've already lost a tremendous amount of money. And so we're talking about today, where we're at today, and figuring out like exactly where we are, what we've lost just by not being intentional about our finances. And it's not just about taxes, it's just that taxes is one piece of it. But I can't tell you how many people I've worked with that have been, unintentional about this, losing 10, 20, 30, 50,000 every year, finally get squared away. And then today, basically we figure out how to save, 20K this year and every year going forward. And let's say this person is 42 years old. So 42, if they didn't do anything, all they did was they're 42 years old, and for the next 20 years, they save and invest 20K. So they don't have to increase income. They don't have to reduce expenses. They don't have to reduce lifestyle. All they have to do is change the way they structure their business and their life from a tax situation. And they can start to save and invest $20,000 over a 20-year period. Now, we can kind of go through this for fun and say, where I pull this thing up, some retirement calculator. Let's say that somebody there's a good one I saw, here it is, yeah. A retirement calculator, $20,000 every year for 20 years. What does that end up being? It's over $1 million. I'm pretty sure it's going to be over $1 million. So you basically say that, look, let's say somebody's 42, they're going to retire at 65. Let's say they've been pretty not the best. They've only got $20,000 saved, and we're saying that let's say they make $100,000 a year, and now they're going to say, or no, they make more than that. But let's just for this calculation, I think we need to do it this way: 100,000, 20%. Yeah, so that's 20,000 in savings. At 65, you'll have 1.4 million. So they'll just, without changing their lifestyle, without changing their business, without reducing expenses, without making more income, you can possibly save them $1.4 million just by switching around their tax structure. And that's a bit of a story about how it's like, because it's like that right there is like a sales story that has so much more to do with them and their future and their life and how it would change than like IRS codes. No one cares about that crap, right? Or like, and you don't want to mention LLC to an S corp the whole presentation. You don't want to mention how you would get them there. You just want to mention that if they do it, this is what they would get. And so going through that will get some of them excited and be like, look, what's the harm? You might be able to do this. And literally we talked for 30, 45 minutes and all of a sudden you're on track to have $1 million plus by the time you retire. And if you weren't going to have anything, you'll now have $1 million plus. And if you're already going to have something, you'll have $1 million plus more.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to make so much money. Thank you.
Yeah,
I can't thank you enough.
Absolutely, no worries. But that's like a good story to it that will get people really excited and show them. And so you not only show them what they've lost based on their specific situation, but also what they'll gain by the time they retire if they just don't change anything else except this one thing.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, and thanks to everyone in the Facebook group. It's been incredible.
Absolutely, no worries. I appreciate it. Keep me posted. Let me know how it goes.
Okay. All
right. CC, I believe that's Carlos Carrillo. I'm not sure, but I'm guessing. He says, is there any extra cost to the certifications? There is not. I think there's actually 3 certifications that we're going to be doing. And I think you have to charge $1, but I give you a coupon code and it's $1 for each, and I'll even reimburse you for the $1 each if you want. So yeah, it's completely free, and I'm sponsoring the cost for anybody that's in the program to go through it. So everybody that is in Next Level will be able to go through it absolutely for free. Okay, we've got Whitney on here. Whitney, so whenever you are ready, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Can you hear me, Andrew?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, it's going good. How are you doing today?
Doing good.
Okay, my question is pertaining to the potential client that I was talking about on the group yesterday that I asked about. She wants me to work with her. She has actually 3 not-for-profit organizations. Well, she's a preacher, and then she has 2 other organizations or ministries that she owns that are not-for-profit. She wants to meet up in person. Should I kind of meet her in person, or should I deter it to over the phone, being that it's my first meeting my first strategy session, and I haven't gone through any of the scenarios with anyone ever before, and I'm not going to have a paper in front of me when I go to this meeting to ask the questions.
Do it in person, because here's the thing. You know, I would do it in person just because it's your first one, and I think it is going to be easier in person. And I wouldn't worry too much about, like, I do want you to go through the script, and I want you to understand the main sections, okay? But just real quickly, and when you go through in the future, you'll get better and better at the script. But you've got a good relationship with this person. You already met them in person. Doing it in person is going to be much, much better. First thing you need to do is diagnosis. If you don't figure out the problem, there's no reason to work with you. You know, it's like if somebody goes to the dentist and he doesn't actually show you that you have a root canal, or he doesn't show you that you have a cavity that is barreling into your gums that could eventually make your jaw rot off. No one's just signing up for root canals. Oh my gosh, you know, this week I've decided to get a new root canal. It's going to be fun. No one's doing that. There has to be a problem. So we have to figure out, why is she interested in working with you? What's the problem? Is she not getting her reports timely? Is she not getting reports at all? Does she need cleanup for 2016? Did the bookkeeper commit a fraud? Did somebody retire? What is the problem that's going on? And why is she interested in working with you? That's the big thing, diagnosis. And what does she need? You know, what is the desired, you know, outcome? What does she need it to look like? What does it need to be? What does she need to be looking at monthly? How do we need to restructure? This is a not-for-profit, so the taxes aren't necessarily the thing. But what is it that needs to happen in order for her to get to where she wants, not just with her accounting and her tax situation, but with her business? And so those two things are the big things. If you nail those two things and you don't do anything else, you just say, here's the problems, and here's the problems in terms of, and I always talk about this in terms of time, in terms of money, in terms of emotion, and you figure out where she wants to be and how that's going to change her life in terms of time saved, in terms of money that she's going to make or save, or help her cause, right? Because a lot of people that run not-for-profits, they're not just thinking about their own wallet, their own pocket, their own bank account. They're thinking about how they're transforming their cause. How is this going to help them grow their cause and create bigger impact in the community or in whatever it is that they're working on? If you just nail those two things, you'll do fine. The other thing I want to get into is just a quick, pitch, and, asking for money. But really first before that, I want to ask for a decision. And then, 5 is asking for payment. And when I say asking for the decision, I'm going to literally say, when you're there, I'm going to say something like, yeah, so, does this sound like something that you do want to do? And if you don't feel comfortable asking for payment and giving price and all that, just tell her that really the next steps are for you two to set up a final call for 2 days later, and you'd love to look at her QuickBooks file and take a look at that before the call. And then you'll be able to put together a quote and do that. But I would definitely do it in person, as it's your first time and you're just getting into it. I think it's a huge advantage. Look, it's a huge advantage, big picture, to do it over the phone. But when you're just getting started and you've already got somebody that you met in person, they're local, they're kind of pushing it, and it's an amazing client, do it. Go for it.
Okay, that sounds great. So when I do speak with her and I find out, the diagnosis and her outcome, do I explain what I'm able to do for her, as you stated in the second week and when you speak with them at the strategy sessions? Or
yeah, and really what you're going to be able to do for her is you're going to help take her here, and you're going to be able to do that through 1, 2, 3. It needs to be a vague pitch. So for example, when you go to the dentist and he finally says that he's going to do a root canal, he doesn't say, well, here's the thing, Whitney, we're going to use these 3 tools here. And when we use these 3 tools, before we put them in your mouth, we're going to heat them up with water and clean them because they've been in all these other people's mouths. And then after that, we're going to stick them in your teeth, and it's going to hurt a lot. You're going to experience an unbelievable amount of pain, but we numb it, so therefore the pain is deferred until late. He doesn't do all that, right? He doesn't talk about how he's going to solve the problem. He just talks about that, hey, we'll be able to get this fixed, and we're going to do 1, 2, 3 things to do it. Quick, high level, vague. And because if he actually told you the whole process of what it would take to fix it, you'd literally freak out and run away. So we don't want to talk about everything that you're going to do. We just want to be high level, yeah, we can definitely do that. And I think really what we need to do is we need to go through a cleanup process for the last 4 months, get everything caught up to date if she has a problem around cleanup and accounting from the past, and then ongoing support on a monthly basis, and here's what that would look like. Or you're going to tie your pitch and what you're going to be giving into specifically what she needs. But I want to keep it high level and vague. I don't want you to talk a lot about it.
Okay. And so once I finish that and then I ask her about the decision, and then with asking for payment, do I automatically price it at a certain price, or does it depend on what all needs to be completed for her organizations?
Yeah, well, and this is why I think in your situation it might be better to set up a follow-up call and to get her QBO file if she has one, because that way we can kind of figure that out after you get it. But in general, I want to do $500 a month for every 500,000 in sales for the organization, or 500,000 in donations or whatever you call it. So yeah, that's kind of a baseline. But if there's some other big project or there's some big thing going on or there's something else that you can help with, it might be more than that. But that's the baseline. I don't want to go any lower than that. But
Okay.
yeah, let's kind of figure out how big she is, and that's kind of the pricing. Do you know how large the organization is yet?
No, I don't know any of that information as of yet. I haven't gotten into any of that with her. I haven't even spoke with her about it. Just the messages that I showed you on the Facebook group is basically what we have talked about as far as her organizations, and that's it.
And not to stress. So here's one more little tip, so you don't stress out about it. If you only nail one thing, and that's the only thing you nail, and the rest of it is all messed up, make sure it's this. Because if you nail that and you're just relentlessly focused on what is the problem and the true nature of it, then she'll be asking you to work with her.
Okay. Okay. And back to the asking for the decision. If she does decide that she wants to work with me after the first meeting, do I ask for a deposit at that time, or is that something that I would do when we set up a follow-up?
Yeah, I would just do it right then. I would just say, great. Well, really the next steps are, we set up a kickoff call for Tuesday. You could send over your QBO file, and then we'll kind of talk about next steps then. And then for today, we'll do the first payment of $850, and we'll get things going. Like, okay, sounds good. And you say, yeah, well, I can just do Visa, Amex, or MasterCard.
Okay.
You can do it right in person. And then if she's like, oh, well, let's do it later, and you can say, okay, well, if you can't do it right there in person, just make sure you definitely have a calendar appointment. No matter what, you need to have a calendar appointment. But I'd like to get the payment right there on the spot as well.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Cool, absolutely, no problem. All right, let's see here. Shakir is asking, when do the courses start? So these aren't courses. It's really like a test. So the 12-week, and I'm not sure, Shakir, if you have the 8-week or the 12-week. I talked about this. If you want the 12-week, go ahead and email support@andrewargue.com, where we go through technical, individual, business tax training and monthly accounting. And so, but these tests will be available probably by the end of the month. I have access to do them. I just want to make sure when we do roll them out that everyone's good to go. But yeah, I mean, they're available. So it should be up and ready in the program by the end of March. All right. Yeah, and Carlos, I'm guessing that's you, CC. He says, can you please talk about the PayPal charges when you get a chance? Yeah, if you could ask specifically what you're in reference to, if you let me know, I'd be more than happy to cover it. So there is additional cost for the classes? No, there is no additional cost for the classes. I mean, I think there's going to be a $1 charge for each of these. And the $1 charge is literally just to get you registered in there, and I give you a coupon code. It's like a couple $100 each to take the test, but I give you a coupon code. I'm paying for all of them for anybody that's gone through Next Level. So it's like $1 each, and I'll even refund you the $1 if you want. So I want it to be no additional cost for anybody in the in Next Level. I'm sponsoring it for anybody that wants to take it. And so, yeah, that's going to be available. I'm not sure who asked that question because it says waiting for name, but that is the answer. The training in the program will prepare you for the certifications, absolutely. And the training in the program will prepare you for the certifications, but we won't have like an in-depth study guide for the specific ones. You'll get some of the high level and the basics just from the program. But we're going to go through probably in April and have a much more comprehensive study guide specifically for this. So yeah, that'll be available as well. And then Shakira says, do you tell prospects you charge $500 for every 500,000? No, I don't say that. Because that doesn't mean anything to them. They don't care about our calculations and our baselines and our guidelines. That's literally irrelevant to them. They just want to know what they're going to get. So I just tell them, I would recommend telling them the price. I wouldn't tell them that that's how you do it. We want to focus on what they need, but that's just a method that we use to get us a guideline of at least what we should be charging, or at least get us in the range. Laura's saying, wanted to ask about the research on a niche. How detailed in depth do we need to go? Being new to the US, I think I might be spending way too much time on researching my niche, wealth managers and financial advisors. No more than 90 minutes to 2 hours, really. We just want to poke around. I mean, you could even do less than that. So if you're spending more than that, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Really, Google, LinkedIn, looking up some very popular and influential wealth managers and financial advisors, like the guys that are real influencers on LinkedIn, looking up at what they're saying, what they're doing, what are they posting about, what are their blog posts saying, what are changes going on in the industry. And then that's it. I wouldn't spend too much time on it. Yes, so someone said, I'm not sure who it is, because it says waiting for name, but it says, hello, I'm new here and would like to ask a question. I have a company that is suffering with their current CPA. They're an LLC, not set up as an S Corp. I'd like to win their business help. Yeah, if I'm not sure who that is because it says waiting for name on there, but if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself, go for it. If you're calling in from the phone, it's *6 to unmute.
Awesome. Can you hear me now?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, this is Patrice asking the question. Thank you. I'm new here, so all this technology stuff I'm trying to learn.
No worries. So tell me a little bit about the client.
Awesome. They have an online boutique business. I pretty much did their taxes from the beginning up until they got to 1.5 million in sales. And I say, well, I think you need to get a CPA. Because I wasn't familiar with all the QuickBooks and bookkeeping and all the other things that they needed in their business. And they still need. They are having, I did their taxes, no problem. Now that they have gone through 2 CPAs and they're unhappy with their current CPA, I would like to know how I can gain their business back. And now I'm going to have to go online and do an extension for them because their current CPA still haven't. They outsourced their bookkeeping and they received an invoice for $9,000. This CPA company did, and their tax. They haven't spoken with their CPA, and no one's communicating. So I said, hey, I'll go online and do an extension for your business. They're currently an LLC. I've been telling them they need to be an S Corp. To save taxes. So basically getting them set up properly, gaining and winning their business for ongoing future.
How big is the company right now?
When you say how big, what do you mean?
Their annual sales?
1.5 million.
And what is their pre-tax income? Like the profit?
Net profit when everything is said and done.
Mm-hmm.
Their K1 last year was like 45,000 each. It's a partnership.
Okay, and so they have pay. So they're also paying themselves a payroll on top of that.
No, I suggested that as well, and they didn't do that either.
Okay, and so they're just overpaying slightly because they've got the wrong structure, and so you want to win them back.
Right.
Okay. Well, but yeah, basically I would just go to them and I would go through and say, look, if we went through, this is what I would call a tax planning engagement. And I said, look, here's the thing. I really do apologize recommending that you go to somebody else. And one of the things I've learned in recent times is that just because somebody's a CPA doesn't necessarily mean that they're any better. And I feel a little bit bad in this situation because I recommended that you guys go to a CPA, but just knowing what you guys are going through, I know that you're not set up properly at this point of the business. and I'd love to get you back as a client and start working together again. And I'd love to tell you a little bit about how I think I could help. They say, yeah, that's fine. And then basically what you want to figure out is specifically how much will they save working with you on tax planning? Like exactly, like what's the exact dollar amount? I want you to go through and see. And then once you figure that out, then I want you to basically say that, look, I'll do, let's say it's 8,000. Then, okay, then you'll charge them 2,000 for the tax planning, 8,000 in savings. You charge them 2K for the tax planning, and you'll charge them for the preparation, right? Whatever, I'm not sure what range they're paying now or what you pay before, and we could talk that out as well. But in order to win over a client, and just make it a total no-brainer, you want to try to show them exactly what you'll be able to save them based on their situation. And that way working with you isn't a cost, it's an investment.
Well, this is new to me, the tax planning. I'm not going to pretend like I know. That's new to me.
Well, the tax planning is just a word for changing anything about their business or their life that will help them pay less in taxes.
I don't know how to show them what they would be saving.
So if they were to switch right now with their business to an S Corp, how much would they save versus if they stayed the way they are?
I don't know.
So right now, and this is typically the way we'll figure this out. So 90,000, right, is about what they're, and this is a couple?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, they're not a couple, but they're partners.
Okay, so 90K, and it's interesting that they're making so little. I wonder if they're manipulating their profits to be that low, or what the deal is, because it's a pretty big company to only make 90,000. But let's say they're making 90,000. They're paying the 15% self-employment tax on that. If they switch to an S corp, then they're going to have a reasonable salary. Let's say it's 35K, and let's say we can get away with that. I'm not sure what it would be in this thing for running this type of business, but let's just say that. So then we're talking about 45,000. And we'd be able to save 15% on 45,000. So 15%, 45,000. This is just a high level number times 0.15. 45,000 times 0.15. Yeah, that's about 7,000 almost. Approximately 7K in savings.
Well, yeah, I can see how you did that, and I guess I knew the answer, but I didn't know I knew the answer. Because that's how much their tax bill, one of the individuals, their tax bill was $7,000 last year.
Yeah. So
if they were owed the IRS.
Yeah. Well, that's not necessarily the same thing if that's what they owe. This is just what they might save. How do you calculate the reasonable salary? There's a whole, there's multiple factors that you have to consider for this. And I don't know the exact literature off the top of my head. But I can definitely provide it to you, James. But yeah, so there's some very specific literature on how to calculate a reasonableness, and I think it's high level. It's like what somebody else who is running the company would do. 35 is definitely low in this situation, but they're not making a lot of profit. I don't know what it would be for this type of company, but you have to go through and look and see what are the requirements for a reasonable salary. What can we make this one as low as possible? And if we switch them from their current entity structure to an S corp, they might be able to save 7,000 in taxes. Now that's just one tactic. That's not all the other things we might be able to do. Are they doing retirement accounts? Do they have a home office? What are other things they might want to do to reduce that even more? And so we might be able to go into other things. The thing is, there's not a lot of profit here, but hey, 7,000 a year is nothing to sneeze at. And it's not just 7,000 this year; it's 7,000 this year and every year going forward, even if they don't grow.
Right.
And so it's a one-time investment with you of 2,000 to get them set up, making an extra 7,000 post-tax every year. And so basically what you want them to see is that 7K in savings, 2K investment with me, 7K in savings this year and every year going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And boom. then, I mean, if I told you right now that I was going to give you $7,000 in the next year, and you were going to get $7,000 every single year going forward, and all you had to do was put $2,000 right over there, would you do it? Obviously, yes. So if they understand it in that clear level of detail, and they believe you and trust you, then they'll go for it.
Well, I get that. I get what you're saying here. The concern is now they need bookkeeping help. I haven't set my business up that way at all. I'm willing to learn, and they have QuickBooks in place. I need training on that as well. So my concern is just being trained and prepared to handle their business. Winning their business back, I don't believe it'll be difficult, but now I need that confidence that I can handle everything going forward.
Yeah, and I showed this on the call the other day. It's like, that's why we're here. We're in the program. We've got the technical support from the monthly accounting. We'll show you how to set up the QuickBooks file and everything like that. But this is just an awesome quote. It's like if someone offers you an amazing opportunity, you're not sure you can do it, just say yes and learn how to do it later.
Right. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. So I think go for it. Look, on the monthly accounting side, that's a whole nother type of a conversation, but I want to figure out, well, how's it going right now? I mean, are they doing it? Are they doing it themselves? Do they have somebody else? Is the other accountant doing it? What are they looking at? Do they know exactly what their cash profit is on a monthly basis? Do they know what they're paying themselves? So they're not even doing accounting. They're just looking at their bank balance and they're like, if that goes up, then that's good.
Right.
Well, so yeah, I mean, and have they had any problems? I mean, have they had a little bit of tight moments with payroll? I'm sure they have. Do they have cash flow problems? So like, do they know walking into, right now it's March 9th, do they know what type of bills are going to be going out between now and the end of the month? And do they know what type of bills or what type of payments are going to be coming in? And are they looking at both of those numbers and saying that versus the cash balance, can I make a decision on this investment, whatever it is? They probably don't have that. And so I want to dig in and ask them, what are they looking at? What are they using to run the business? And asking them how stressful it is to not have like the facts. And then, so we're going to drill them with questions kind of in the strategy session script. We go through some of these and figure out what is the problem with the monthly accounting. And yeah, I mean, I want to try to do $1,500 a month. This is a company that's not very profitable, so that is a significant amount. But the profit is really manipulated. Like, this isn't specifically to this company, but a lot of people try intentionally to minimize profit because they don't want to pay more in taxes, which I think is crazy. So I don't know, are they trying to do that, or does the company really not make that much?
With all the overhead, like now they have a warehouse, they have two or three employees. They are, Shopify, the bills they get from Shopify, PayPal, UPS, shipping out, packaging. They have a lot of expenses.
Yeah.
And they have to buy inventory. It's an inventory business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even still, though, I mean, they should be able to do at least 10% margin. So, I mean, like at least 10% margin. But the reason that they can't do 10% margin is because they're not even looking at their P&L on a monthly basis or a weekly basis.
No.
So therefore, they're using emotions to make decisions. This is a flower business, you said?
Right. Online boutique, clothing.
Oh, clothing. Yeah, so they're using their emotions to make decisions, and they're not using math.
I think that if I can bring clarity to them, and I don't know, I need to understand. If I could use your verbiage and practice using your verbiage, and be able to bring clarity so that they'll know where they are and what do they really have, I think that this would be a no-brainer to win them over. And also if I can help increase their margin, show them how I can help increase, I think that would be awesome as well.
Yeah, and the only way to figure that out is to ask them, do they feel like there's certain things they spent money on that they didn't need to, and that are they feeling like there's some things that they just don't have the numbers or the information on that they would smooth out the cost, or they wouldn't buy as much? Like, are they buying inventory too quickly and then it's just sitting there? And because they're not really looking at, like, are they tracking inventory? Do they know exactly what's in inventory right now? Like, what what's the process over inventory? What's the process over AR and AP? How are they monitoring it, if at all? And what information could they get to change their decision making to make more profit? I don't know right now, but these are the kind of questions we want to ask. So that way they're like, oh, well, look, if I could see exactly, like if I'm in March 9th and I could see exactly, how much inventory we have right now, like I honestly don't even know. If I could see that, that would help a lot. And I would need to know if we needed to purchase more or not. Like some companies literally run without that kind of basic information.
Well, they're doing foolish things, like they just invested $20,000 in a new website. And so I don't think this website gonna drive them. It's not driving traffic, so it just looks good. And is there any way I can get a list of your questions, because I didn't know what to ask?
If you go into week two, there's a full week two, there's a strategy session script and a strategy session training with all the questions that we asked the client, going through all of them. Yeah, so that's the best place to start.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah,
I'll do that. So how do I go about changing them over to, where do we go to learn how to change them, convert them over to? Is that the form that we go on the IRS.gov to move them over from moving them from an LLC into, or changing not the entity but the structure to an S corp? They just changed the name and the tax ID number 2 years ago. So I believe we're within that third year, if I'm understanding it correctly, as to when they can convert over to an S corp.
What type of entity are they right now?
LLC.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what the timing is. Some people might be able to answer this in the chat, where they can just file an S election to be an S corp. But I think they have to do that for this year by April 15th. I mean, they can even do it later with a special S election. But yeah, if somebody can't answer it right here on the call, then post in the group, you'll get a bunch of answers in there. I don't know off the top of my head. But yeah, if they're already an LLC, heck, here's an interesting thing. Let me show you something right now, actually. So here's what you can do. Have they filed their return for this year? No, right? Oh, did I lose you? I think I lost you. So let me see, Patrice. So if somebody's an LLC in 2016, some people will literally do this. Extend the business return. File an S election, file a late S election for 2016, and try to get permission from the IRS and say, look, the last accountant set them up wrong. They should have been an LLC filing as an S corp. I'd like to do a late S election for 2016. And if you extend the return, you won't always get it approved, but everybody I've talked to always does get it approved. And so literally you can actually affect the savings for last year. You can only do it though if they were an LLC. If they were a Schedule C, they were not an LLC, you won't be able to do it. But if they were an LLC, then you will be able to do it. And yeah, so that would be great. So that way you would save them literally this year, not like, oh, this will be something for 2017 or whatever. It's like, no, bam, this year. And so, okay, yeah, LLC can elect any year before March 15th or late S election rules. Yeah, and the late S election rules, you can even do it now for 2016. And you just extend the return. So that might be a good example. And Patrice, I think you fell off, but hopefully you'll check out the recording. And I think that would be big to look at first 2016's return, what we can do there, then 2017 going forward. But I think if they made this last year, you might be able to save them $7,000 on this year's return. All right, we had a couple questions in here. Yeah, if you guys shoot me an email, James or Christina, about the reasonableness salary, I'd be happy to point you guys in the right direction. And then Jordan says, do companies manipulate their numbers to avoid taxes? Do they really get a benefit by doing that? They don't, but they think they do. So here's the way I think of it. Let's say a company does $500,000 in profit, okay? Well, they're thinking, oh no, I'm gonna pay tax on that. And it's like, I think if you take it's something like an average of, 30%? If you shoot me an email, Christina, just a reminder, because I'll forget about it. Let's say it ends up being like, with the rate, it ends up being like a 30% on 500,000, whatever it is. They'll pay 150,000 in taxes. Okay. So these guys, they have this mindset where they're like, I don't want to pay taxes. So you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy more stuff in my company to grow. I'm going to get a nicer office. I'm going to get cars for my family. I'm going to consume stuff that I don't necessarily need because I'm paying 150,000 in taxes. But what they don't understand is that they end up doing that. They end up making, you know, $100K a year in profit. They end up paying 20% in taxes, let's say, and they're like, yay, I paid 20% in taxes. But look at this. When you look at the net, right? When you look at the net, it's like look at the end, yeah, okay, you got to pay the government more, but you get to keep more for yourself. So it's a poisonous mentality that's out there in like the small business owner market that people are like, well, I just want to pay less in taxes. But you actually, when you just make up expenses that you don't really need, you'd be better off paying the government more in taxes and just saving more for yourself. That's how I run my life and my business. I just save it. And yeah, I pay big tax bills, but I'd rather keep more for myself than just spend it on frivolous stuff. I'll keep it back from the government, because the reality of it is you're not really keeping it back from the government. Look, the government's only getting 130,000 less, but you're getting 270,000 less. So you're like shooting yourself in the foot. But they believe that. There's like this crazy thing that they believe. Now, if you can figure out a way to pay less in taxes and keep the money for yourself, whether that's retirement accounts or switching to an S Corp, that's a different story. But that's why when you go to week 2, we talk about pricing. I recommend everybody sets pricing based on the size of the company, not based on the profit, because the profit is a heavily manipulated number based on this mentality, and also based on growth periods, because a lot of companies are minimizing profit because they're trying to grow. So they're like, I don't care about making profit. And so I don't want to make profit. I just want to invest in growth. And to be honest, a lot of times that can be smart because they're investing in growing. I'm fine with that from a mindset and mentality perspective and entrepreneurship perspective. But like consuming stuff you don't need to pay less in taxes it's a cockamamie like way to run a business. It doesn't make any sense. It's just like there's this weird like anti-tax mentality, which don't get me wrong, I don't want to pay taxes either, but it just doesn't make sense. So profit is not a good way to say, oh, I'm going to charge my fees based on profit, because profit doesn't mean anything in terms of how much work we have to do. Sales is a much better indicator, because that's a much better indicator of the size of the company, the complexity of operations, the complexity of the accounting. And it's not perfect. That's why I use it as a guideline. And then we have to do our full diagnosis and investigation. But I never, ever, ever want to determine what the price of our services should be based on profit. It doesn't make any sense, because there's all this manipulation in it. So yeah, I hope that is helpful. Yeah, he says, this is exactly what I was thinking. Thanks for backing me up on that. Yeah, it's a lot of people believe that, but it's not true, and you just have to do the math. But they're just like, I don't, I just want to pay less in taxes. Okay. It's like, what's the goal? Is the goal for you to? That's the thing. It's always like, what's the goal with people, right? It's like, do they want to make more money and save more money, or is the goal to get the government to get less taxes? If the goal is to get the government less taxes, then yeah, just go out and waste a bunch of money. But if you want to save more for yourself and for your family and for your business, then go for it. The goal is to be free, and you have to have the cash to do that. Agreed. And so you just have to change people's mindset. That's kind of a large part of what you guys should be doing with your clients. Like, it's not just about wrecking the books and doing the returns. Like, it's like talking to them about this stuff if they are acting wrong. This kind of stuff will change their whole life and business. Okay. Denise says, can't talk, but my question is pertaining to the question on the strategy session. Do you mean AR every month? What does AR mean? Accounts receivable. Okay, yeah, I saw a lot of people were posting about that. Yeah, accounts receivable. I think that's Patrice, but I'm not sure. Oh, Patrice, I mean, in terms of, she says, or someone's saying, so how do I determine the monthly fee to charge for the business we discussed? Look, I'm immediately going to be thinking $1,500 a month, but because it could even be more than that. Let me tell you why. So $1,500 a month is the baseline of what I'm thinking. But this company also has inventory. This company also has physical locations. They probably also have a pretty good payroll. And so I am really going to be thinking $1,500 a month at least. It's going to be hard for me to want to get involved with this kind of thing. They're going to want you to do inventory accounting, which to me is in addition to the $1,500 a month. The problem is they don't have a lot. So what we need to figure out is what is going on. Why are they doing literally like almost 5% profit on this company? What is going on where they're not making, and it's like, and even if they were doing 5%, but they were paying themselves a salary, okay. But we're talking about them not making like 5, 6, 7%, hardly making that and they're not even taking a salary. So it's like, what is going on? This thing's been mismanaged into the ground. And so what is going on the expense side and on the way they're running the operations or with the inventory? Is there spoilage? Like, what is happening that is causing the profit to be so low? What's the problem? Why isn't this thing making 10 to 20% at least? And that's the first thing. And if we can figure that out, then working with you for $1,500 or $2,500 a month can make sense, because they're going to go from 90 to 200 in profit, or 300, right? But until we know what the problem is, they are not going to want to pay $2,500 a month, even though that's what it would take for you to charge to work with this company and have it be something that you'd want to do. So I would really not want to do this for less than $1,500 a month, and that would be assuming we weren't doing the inventory accounting, which I think is probably pretty much impossible to not do. So unless we nail the problem in the strategy session, it's going to be tough. But we need to nail the problem and figure out what the real issue is on why they're not making very much, and see if we can help with that. Whitney says, for payment processing, do you also recommend Intuit since it links with QuickBooks? Yeah, look, a lot of people do use Intuit. A lot of people use Bill.com. The reason why I recommend PayPal in there is because I don't care about, like, I built the program because what I wanted to do is provide the bare minimum steps, the bare essentials, just the key things we need to do to get clients, start producing income, and growing the practice. And PayPal Manager, I saw some people were posting this in the group today too. PayPal Manager is the easiest and the simplest method to just get the cash in the bank. Look, I don't even care. When you're first getting started, I said, you know, if you're just doing bookkeeping, especially if you're doing tax, it's a little bit different. But if you're just doing bookkeeping, I really don't even recommend you get incorporated in the beginning. Just get a couple of clients and just charge them on PayPal. Because having the exact structure perfect, your first 50,000 in sales, I don't care if you have to take it in, you know, government T-bonds, right? It doesn't matter what it is, because it's like your first couple clients, just get it done. So I don't want everyone to focus on getting their systems and their infrastructure in place and preparing to succeed. I want us to go out there, collect some Amex, collect some Visa, collect some MasterCard from paying clients, get it charged, do the work, get some clients, and move forward. So that's why I recommend PayPal. Is that the best thing to run a $500,000 or $1 million a year practice on? No, it's not. You want to have something like Bill.com. You want to have something like Intuit Payments that's linked with QuickBooks or something like that. But for your first 50 or even 100,000, just do it on PayPal. It's super, super easy. The reason I like PayPal is that it's a super easy system. Everyone has it. You just have to add PayPal Manager. And all you need to charge someone is the credit card number, the expiration date, and the amount. You don't even need like the billing address and the zip code and their name and all that. All these other systems like Bill.com, getting a recurring payment set up, they have to create a Bill.com account. Oh, if you have a client that's sitting there waiting to give you money, the last thing you ever want to do is have them need to create a software account and then need to go look up their ACH. Talk about making this complicated and sound like something I personally don't want to do. When I first started to use Bill.com, people, like, I felt like I had to go through the Amazon to get like signed up on this darn thing and then link it to my account. And then I still didn't understand, like, was I doing AR? Was I doing AP? Like, what the heck? Like, it's complicated to get set up. Once you get it working, it's amazing. And you don't have to touch the thing forever. But PayPal is the simplest, easiest thing. Everyone in here already has PayPal probably. And so you don't need to learn how to use an entirely different system. That's why I recommend it. And once you're at 50 or 100,000, go to something else. And if you've already got a $500,000 a year practice, put a little bit more time into restructuring everything on Bill.com or Intuit Payments. Shakira says, I like QuickBooks because you can set up auto pay and automatic receipt mailing in one click, and it's all in QB. Love it. Yes, exactly. It's a lot of people use that, and it's great. And so you can absolutely use that too. All right. Who else has questions today? Just go ahead and let me know in the chat. If you want to be unmuted, just say, I have a question. If you can't be unmuted or you just want to ask the question, just go ahead and ask the question in the chat. We've got a good group on today. So yeah, if anybody has any questions, just let me know in the chat. The PayPal cost, I think it's like $35 a month, something like that. Yeah, it's de minimis. All right, Jeff says he has a question. Percentage of transactions as well, yes. It's like 2.9%, which pretty much everybody's in that range until you get into a really big volume, and then you can negotiate it down a little bit. But the one thing I will say is once you get monthly recurring clients, like in the beginning, first 2 months, you want to put them on PayPal, and then you do want to switch them over to something like Bill.com once you get them set up on Bill.com and for yourself, because you can pay almost nothing, I think, for the ACH. It's like, I think it's a flat fee per transaction or something like that. It's almost nothing. So for monthly recurring, you do eventually want to get them set up on that, but in the beginning, it's just easy with PayPal. Yes, Jeff, you are muted on my side, I think. Whenever you're ready, you can unmute yourself as well.
Yeah, I'm here. How are you, Andrew?
Doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. So I actually posted this question the other day, and then I had to get off the call, so I don't know if you addressed it at all. But I've had it a few times where I'm sending out, I'm trying to correspond through Woodpecker and sending out the invites and so forth, but it gets bounced from the addresses that I put in, and I know that they're good addresses. Have you had anyone mention that?
I haven't recently. I mean, if you shoot me a screenshot of what you're seeing, or if there's an email you're getting back, just forward me the email, I'll look into it. But if that is happening and you know for certain it didn't get delivered, and if it's just a few, send it from your normal email, just manually. But if it's happening to a lot, we definitely want to fix it. But yeah, forward me whatever you're getting, and I'll take a look at it today.
Okay. Yeah, it's not happening a lot. It's just happening periodically, and that is what I do. I'm just wondering if, you've heard of other people running into those situations.
I don't think so, no.
Okay. All right, well, I'll send you an email, and we'll see if we can figure it out.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, does anybody else have questions? Just let me know in the chat. I'll get you unmuted. All right, somebody says I have a question, but I can't see their name. I wonder if this is Patrice. Anyway, whoever it is, go ahead and unmute yourself whenever you're ready.
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, it's Patrice again, yes. I guess I need to find out how do I get my name to show up on the system.
No worries. Yeah, next time you log in, I think there's like a put your name in field. Sometimes I don't know why, for some people it says waiting for name, but yeah, next time try and put it in there.
Oh, okay. I'll figure that out later, I guess. And in regards to learning how to do, I think you're offering for everyone to learn how to do QuickBooks and bookkeeping, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. If you go through the program, if you go in the program now, the way the 12-week is set up is the first 5 weeks is all business strategy, how to run consultations, how to get appointments. And then weeks 6 through 8 is monthly accounting. And then weeks 9 through 11 is individual and business tax.
Okay, so is it okay to jump ahead?
Absolutely. Go for it, yeah.
So I can win this client?
Definitely. Absolutely. Well, winning the client, look, in your situation, winning the client, it's so much more about weeks 1 and 2. Because week 2 is how you run that consultation. Look, learning how to deliver the services fundamentally isn't going to help you win the consultation, except for feeling confident in that consultation. So that's good, but yeah, but really,
for me, that's what I need, because I feel confident that I'm going to win the business back. So I just need the extra confidence on, okay, can I, be making sure I can feel confident about delivering what it is that they need.
Again, you don't, you're never going to feel 100%. I think the strategy session script will take you from like an 8 to a 4. The training will take you from a 4 to a 1. So in terms of anxiety about delivering, but there's always a little bit of anxiety there. So I would say just do it anyway, but this is going to help a lot more. This is going to help a lot more, this script, because this is exactly how we need to guide the conversation with them.
Okay.
To get them to say yes and commit to working with you. So this script is really going to be the number one thing you need to feel confident in going into that meeting and getting the yes. Then once you get the yes, right, because there's 2 points. There's number one, running that meeting with that other human being to get the yes. That's what we really need to feel confident in. That's what the script is for. And then delivering on the
Okay.
services, that's part 2, and that's really what, week 6 through 8 is going to be for.
Week 6 through
6
8,
through
you
8,
say?
yeah. 6 through 8 in terms of the accounting services. Yep.
In terms of the accounting service, okay. And do you discuss in that session how to convert them from LLC to S Corp?
That's going to be in week 9. Yep.
Week 9. Okay. Very good. Very good. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, no problem. Jordan says, what percentage of income should I advise companies to save in cash on a monthly basis? 10%, 20%, 30%? Yeah, I mean, well, the thing about it is that you really can't have a broad number like that. Like, it really does depend. I mean, I would just say as much as possible. Like, you really want to try to save as much as possible. Like, the problem is it's a mindset issue. It's mostly a mindset issue for most people. Like, their first priority isn't to save for the sake of saving. Most people don't understand the concept of saving for the sake of saving. And that's what most of them need to learn. So it's not about a specific percentage. It's just about learning that, look, you want to try to keep expenses as low as possible. And then, like, if you don't have any reason to spend money and you have money, you shouldn't use it. Like, I know this guy, pretty successful business guy that I know, a friend of mine, and he was like, yeah, I had an extra, this is so funny, because like, just like, when I heard this, I just like face palm. He said he had an extra $15,000 in his bank, right? And he's a really successful business guy. He earns a lot, but he doesn't keep a lot of cash. And I'll tell you why. It's because of this mindset. He's like, I had an extra $15,000 in my bank account, so I figured I might as well like go on some trips and just get like a drone. And just like, I was just like, oh my gosh, are you serious? Like 15,000. I'm like, how do you even run a business with only 15,000 in the bank for this type of business that he had? And then he's thinking that he had extra, so then he's just going to go and spend it. Like, that mentality is the reason why he's not accumulating wealth, accumulating assets, accumulating cash. If he just had a specific percentage, I don't think that would necessarily help him. He would need to rethink the entire way that he spends money and accumulates wealth. And that is a big transformation for most people. So yeah, the percentage is going to change greatly based on the type of the company, how much they need in terms of payroll, how much they need in terms of promotional expenses. Yeah, so I want it to be as much as possible. I mean, like, you want to have cash in your account when you've got a large operating business. Like, you want to have so much in there that you don't even stress like 6 months of expenses. Like, you could just deal with it, and especially 1 month expenses, you just don't even care about it. But they need to accumulate to be able to get there. Yeah, it's a poverty mindset to spend everything that comes in your account. It really is. All right, so yes, Raquel, whenever you are ready, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yep, I'm here.
Andrew? Oh, hi, Andrew. Okay, so I sent you an email with the guy's response. Basically, this was the physician who I sent $100 to last week, and he sent the money back to me like within an hour. He just said, I'm just too busy. And so I responded to him and said, I can't remember exactly what I said, but it was something to the extent, I'm available. Feel free to reach out if you have, when you're ready, when you're available. And when I said, in the meantime, feel free to check out my case study video. And so I sent him the case study video, and that was his response.
Yeah, just ignore this person. Look, this person is literally, you know who this person is? Let me see if I can find it. This person is what are those things called? That's what this guy is. I think his literal soul might be like this thing. Like, who does that? Like, who literally would talk to another person like that? Like, he himself is so insecure and small and worthless in his own mind that he feels the need to attack a stranger via email and belittle them. Get this person
And
out
he
of your life.
spent time watching the video. He spent 20 minutes watching the video. He could have been on the phone with me. I thought it was funny.
Literally. Look, I mean, I know that might be harsh, but like, guys, seriously, this is like, in the interest of complete transparency, the video you sent wasn't at all useful. In fact, it may have been a step backwards. So you want me to refer you to someone who could help you create a more effective video. This guy, you know what? This guy probably doesn't even make any money. People that...
Well, he seems pretty big. Like, he's like a Beverly Hills dermatologist with a lot of offices and a lot of activity on LinkedIn. I don't know.
Yeah, but look, here's the thing. People that... What I've found is that people that look like they're wealthy tend to be like the brokest people.
True.
I'm not talking about low income. He might have a high income. He probably broke. He could be net worth negative in debt. Especially in California, those people have this whole mentality that they need to look successful rather than be successful. So
that poverty mentality.
Yeah, and so he's feeling like he can pick on someone who's out here actually trying to do something, good and try and help him, but he's biting the hand that feeds him. And so, like, I literally just look at these type of people and I think this is what they really look like. If you were to take a picture of their soul, that's what it would look like. And so I just can't even have that person around. I would literally just stop communicating with them. And I know that sounds a little harsh, but yeah, just there's nothing you can do with that type of person. Like here's the thing. And for everybody's background story on this is why I'm saying this. Raquel put in her email that she would be able to save him at least $10,000 on taxes, or she'd give him $100. And he said, I don't believe you. Why don't you go ahead and send me the $100? And so Raquel literally went through and sent the guy $100 before she even met him. And like, yeah, what do you think now? I'm legit. And the guy said, oh, I don't have time for you. I refunded the $100. And then he comes back with that thing. It's like, what a deranged gremlin. Like literally this person came and said they could save you $10,000, gave you $100 for free, and then you attack them. Are you literally insane?
Well, yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. Well, thank you. I guess the way that I was thinking about a response, and I'm glad I sent you an email, was how like you say, you're proud of the fact that your website wasn't all that, and you were still making money. So I wasn't sure if I should come from that angle, but I won't respond. You're right. I don't want him in my space.
When people become like that, the best thing to do is just ostracize them and never think about them or speak to them again.
Yeah, I'll do that. Well, thank you. Now that's my update for today.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a really good lesson. Like, it's amazing how you can go out there and I think Raquel's story is awesome in this situation because like she literally gave the guy $100. And if that guy would have kept that $100, went out to dinner with his wife and paid for dinner and just kept it, Raquel would have been fine with that. She would have been fine with that. But he didn't do that. He refunded it. And then he didn't even want the meeting, even though she was just trying to help him in the first place. But it's just, what a weird thing. Like, it's so weird. I mean, it's just... But there are, like, when you actually get out there, you put yourself out there, the kind of things you see in human beings, it's just like, it's crazy. But really what it is you figure out through doing all the strategy sessions and talking with people, like whenever they start attacking you, it's all just psychological projection. Like there's things that they feel about themselves. They're projecting onto you and they're hating you for being all the thing. And they're trying to make you, like, they're trying to take you down and pull you down to their level. So yeah, I would just forget about it. And you just can't have people like that even in your like visual view, because it just gets you depressed. So yeah, anytime anybody gets in that type of situation and you're even questioning it, I just handle these people by just completely ignoring them. You are dead to me, like Kevin O'Leary, like Mr. Wonderful says. It's awesome, Diane. So true. You're dead to me. That's so funny. But yeah, it is the best way to handle that kind of thing. I think Patrice again says, so I believe you said the company should be making minimum 10% profit or something. Well, yeah, look, any company I want them to be making, like, here's the thing. Typically, any company that is large should try to do 1/3 selling costs, 1/3 operating costs, 1/3 profit. Now, when you're small, you shouldn't try to do that. This is like a company at scale, and this is just a very high level thing. Look, I get there's other industries, there's e-commerce where this stuff totally goes out the window, whatever, and this is kind of e-commerce, so I hear you. But you want to try to do this. There are a lot of e-commerce companies that do this or better though, okay? So it's not like everybody in e-commerce doesn't get to make money. But, you know, that's one way to look at it. But when you're small, like if you have your own practice and you do $250K a year in sales, I mean, you could do 70% margin on that because you don't need to have any costs. So when you're small, when you're real small, you can have really high margin, make a lot of profit. This would be like an accounting practice, right? Accounting practice. But if an accounting practice turns into be a $2 million practice, it's not going to be the same way. You're not going to be able to do 70% margin. Because with scale, everything starts to even out. It's like, so this is accounting practice at, you know, $2 million a year. It's going to be like, you know, 20 to 40% margin, depending on how well the company's run. But for a company that's doing 1.5 million a year, I mean, I want to see what's the way we can reorganize this thing to get to 30% margin. I mean, can we sell some different products, some higher end stuff? Like, I mean, what is going on that's taking this up? Because right now, I think if they're doing 90,000 a year, let's see, 90,000 divided by 1.5 million, that's 6%. 6% margin. That's pitiful. That's before paying themselves a salary. Oops. Oops. Somebody sneezes in that company and everybody's losing money. So that is a very thin margin. And that's really their biggest fear. If someone sneezes in that company, one lawsuit comes along, I mean, this thing's dead in the water. There's no chance of success. They don't have any money, but they've got a lot of operations and staff and liability. Yeah, one employee lawsuit and this thing is done. So yeah, I would try to figure out why it's 6% and not at least 10 to 15 or 20. Who else has questions for today? So yeah, it's 1:24. I'm happy to stick around for another 30 minutes or so. If anybody else has questions, just let me know in the chat. No problem. No problem. Yeah, does anybody else have any questions for today? I'm happy to stick around. Is there something in the training about figuring out margins? Sorry, I had to step away. I missed what you just did. Yeah, no. Yeah, you can go back and listen. I mean, the biggest thing about margins is that they are different by industry. Service businesses typically have higher margins than manufacturing and others, but you know, you do want to figure it out for your space and see. But like a typical service-based business like attorneys or marketing agencies or anything like that, they should try even at scale to do 40% margin. And if they've got the right type of tracking over the jobs and the engagements that they're doing, they've got the right staff and operating expenses, they can do 40% margins, easy. But they need to have like an intentional plan around that, even at scale. You know, for companies with products and e-commerce and whatnot, it's lower, but it shouldn't be 6% before payroll. Ooh, that's not good. That's like literally worse than a job. I mean, I would not want to have this company over a job. Like I can make $45,000 a year. There's two owners. Make $45,000 a year in a job, and I don't have to stress at all. I get to clock in, clock out. I could probably make 60 grand a year, right? If I was like, as opposed to doing this, and it would be like clock in, clock out, never have to stress. That is not a fun business. QB desktop or online, which is friendlier? Almost everybody uses online. I mean, there are some benefits to using desktop for certain types of industries like construction, and people, but they'll still use it in a virtual server and manage it online. But most everybody is moving to QuickBooks Online. Question about the sales script. Jim, yes. If you want to unmute yourself, you absolutely can whenever you are ready.
Hello?
Hey, man. How's it going?
Hey, it's going good. Thanks for taking the question. I had a couple strategy sessions and things I've been going over with clients, and I've been having some trouble
I think we lost you there.
8 and 9, and really like getting them emotional about saving money on taxes, because it's a lot of what I do is kind of saving money by doing it right when it's really easy to do things wrong, working with like international clients. So I had a strategy session with someone who they were fine with the price. They wanted to work with someone local though, so that's kind of what they went through. And I realized I did something wrong. I should have charged him the $500 to set up a follow-up call right away on the call, because he showed up late to the first call anyways. But the whole issue was I was just having trouble. The emotions of getting a tax return done right.
Well, the thing about it is that they need to clearly see the facts. So like in 2016, we did not work together. So how much did they overpay in taxes? Now, it's not always going to be that case, because maybe they're just getting started or something has changed. But what happened in 2016 with their last accountant? So let's say they paid their last accountant $3K, but they overpaid in taxes by $20K.
Well, it's a new company.
Okay, brand new company. When did they start?
They started in April of last year. Had about.
Oh, gosh, this mic right now is troublesome. Okay, hang on. We're gonna have to mute this real quick. We're gonna have to. Jim, if you could go ahead and mute yourself for a second. I think you're saying, and correct me in the chat, because your mic is going in and out, and it's really having some issues there. Okay, now he's offline. So I think what happened is that this company, it sounds like, started in April 2016, did 450K in profit, or sorry, 450K in sales maybe? I don't know. I couldn't hear him.
Hey, Andrew. Sorry,
yeah.
I'm back now. I was on Wi-Fi. It's weak. I went back to my cell service. Much better.
Okay, cool. So did I hit this right? They started in April 2016 and they did 450,000 in sales last year?
I think it was about 400-ish, 3 to 400,000.
Sales?
Yeah, I think sales, yeah.
Okay. And what about profit?
I didn't get into he didn't tell me that. I didn't get the profit number.
So we need to know the profit, because that's going to be a big interest point, because on these calls, we need to specifically figure out, okay, based on how you structured this before working with me, and just if you were just going to go do your return right now, how much would he lose? So what is his legal entity right now?
They have a corporation, and it's I was more concerned about the transfer pricing issues and the correct foreign reporting. And those are kind of like I was saying, like it's not as much about the tax savings, because it's pretty straightforward. He has his corporation, and he's a foreign owner, so he can't have an S corp. So I can't like set him up as an S corp. But it would have to be like make sure he does his return right, because the penalties are big for doing it wrong. And working with people who are aware of that and like aware of the different issues in case he has foreign distributions and stuff. So it's hard to quantify preventative savings.
Well,
I'm just having
in your experience, I mean, have you worked with other people that have got their return wrong, working with other people that don't really know what they're doing?
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, even if they file it late and the penalties are automatic.
So how much, like some of the clients that you've worked with in the past that either filed late or made some errors in regards to transfer pricing, I mean, how much did they end up paying for that?
Well, transfer pricing on a large scale can be huge, and the IRS really has complete autonomy in that. I have a client that is being forced by the IRS to run at it's like a 6% margin of sales, and they do 30 million of sales a year. So they're running. That's like they have to adjust their transfer pricing to show that much income on their federal return every year because of an audit they had. So I mean, it could be huge. And then in terms of the like 5472s and the foreign reporting, if those are just incorrect, it's $10,000 a return or a form that's filed. So it depends.
And it's, when did you talk to this guy?
I talked to him on Tuesday or on Monday or Tuesday, and we were going to call again on Thursday. But his partner in the U.S. wants to go with someone in the local area. They're in Ohio.
Yeah. Well, so here's so it's March 6th, and so they didn't have anybody that they were working with that they talked to until the first week of March to get this thing resolved.
Correct.
Yeah. So, and the penalties for him filing late are substantial. So he's really putting himself at risk right there. So at this point, I mean, if we don't get this thing filed in the next week, then I mean, we're looking at least $20,000 penalties or whatever.
That's why I messed up, because I told him that the IRS changed the rules and corps are now due 415 this year, so he has another month. And he's like, "Oh, I have another month? I thought I only had a week." I'm like, "Oh, I shouldn't have said that." But
there's no reason to say that. But even still, I would just say, well, you can say that without saying it. So instead of saying that he has another month and making, that's the first problem, is we never want to tell the client the good news about their situation, because it's like when you go to the dentist and the dentist is like, "Oh my gosh, you've got amazing teeth. You must be flossing every day. These things are beautiful. These are pearly whites. There's no problems. There's no cavities. Hey, I'm going to need to charge you $2,500 for a root canal." It's like, wait, dude, I just thought you said everything was great. So we don't ever want to make, I call it affirmations. We never want to affirm the client in any way on the strategy session. We want to emphasize and investigate the problems. We don't want to talk about all the good things they've done, because they're here for transformation, to fix problems. They're not here to get, pats on the back. That's for mom and dad or whatever. So we want to focus on the bad things. And so you could, instead of saying about, "Oh, they have an extra month," we would just say, "Yeah, look, if we don't file this thing on time, I mean, we could lose at least $20,000. And he still thinks it's a week. We're not saying it's a week or a month. We're just saying it needs to be filed on time. So you're not lying, but still, I mean, it's a month and a half, and nobody started with him. But do they have the books cleared up? Have they done the bookkeeping?
They have a bookkeeper. The Canadian company is doing the books, and the U.S. company is just reviewing them or something. That's not a huge focus of my business right now, so I didn't push on that.
Well, but the reason I bring it up is simply because if he's not reaching out to somebody till 3/6, he might not have the books completed. He thinks it has to be done by 3/15. We know it's 4/15. But either way, in the middle of tax season, giving somebody 4 to 5 weeks to figure out, are the books even in order, then to do the returns, it's crazy, right? So automatically, this guy's putting himself in risk for $20,000, and that's just in terms of that. Now we're going to get it in terms of the late filing fees. So in one case, he's looking at about, if he works with the wrong person that can't get it done in time, and he goes out and tries to risk that, because you're working with him right now, you're saying, "Look, there's not a lot of people that are going to be able to get this done for you this quickly. I can do it." That's one selling point, and you're going to save him potentially 20 grand. Now let's get into the other issues of, has he considered how this needs to be done? And I want to start scaring him about all the ways this can be messed up, all the ways the transfer pricing can be messed up, all the ways the different parts of the return can be messed up. Ask him questions and show him how little he knows.
Okay.
And when you show him how, he's like, "Oh, honestly, I don't even know, man." Like, you just want him to get all stressed out. Because when he's stressed out, he starts to see, holy crap, this is like, I didn't even think about this. And he starts to realize that it's an even bigger problem than he originally thought. And that way, when you lay down a big fee, it's like, yeah, but one, we're going to be able to get this done in 2 weeks, so we're going to save $20,000. So even though it's $7,500, and then two, this guy clearly knows how to, tidy up every nook and cranny when it comes to this transfer pricing thing, or whatever else it is with his specific situation. We need to dig into those and make sure he knows that we know everything and he doesn't know much, without telling him that, just by asking questions. Because a lot of people think, oh, when you ask the client, they're like, "I don't want to ask the client that question because I know they're not going to know." That's the question you want to ask. You want the clients to be like, "Honestly, I don't even know." And then you just do this. You just do, okay. Well, and then you ask another question you know he's not going to know. And you just keep doing that to reinforce how alone and unaware they are of how serious their situation is.
I like that. I need to definitely work on that and shift my mindset a little, because I'm used to working with the company clients where I'm more educating them almost. So I'm used to breaking it down and making it easy for people to understand. So that's kind of a foundational mindset shift, that I have to talk high level and try and sound smart instead of breaking it down and making it easy for them to understand, because that's obviously not helping my sales.
It's true. And the reason why is like once you get them as a client, you can educate them. But when you are doing a sales consultation, you cannot do any coaching on the call.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's something I'm gonna have to work on. Very good points though. That's stuff I'm gonna work on, and I'll keep following up with him. Maybe I'll send him an email in a couple weeks and see, and then charge him double if he doesn't have it done. He needs to get it done in a week. I have to spend extra time doing it. But yeah, I think that's my question. Thank you.
Cool. No problem, man. Yeah, it's a totally different thing because a lot of people think it's all about giving and everything like that, but really good salesmen understand that you want the client to be stripped down naked, revealing themselves to you and nervous. If somebody somebody that in your life just had to strip down their clothes naked and look at you, they'd feel really embarrassed and nervous because they're vulnerable. And that's kind of the same dynamic you want on the call, where the person is revealing themselves, they're telling you all these intimate things about their life and everything, and then they are they're nervous, and then you're there to take care of them. You're not going to judge them, and they kind of appreciate that. Yeah, they feel, and then they feel like, wow, this guy took care of me, even though I showed him that I don't know anything.
Awesome. Okay, good stuff. I'll be back. I love these calls. Very helpful.
Cool. Yeah, man. Keep me posted.
Thanks.
All right. Who else has questions for today? Just let me know in the chat. Yeah, I probably have time for a couple more. I'm happy to stick around. If anybody else has any other questions, just let me know. Well, if nobody else has any other questions, we can wrap this one up a little bit early. I'm happy to stick around, but I'll just go ahead and do a last call for questions. All right. Well, hey, I will go ahead and wrap this one up. Awesome call. Look, the more questions we have, the juicier these calls are. So I appreciate everybody bringing it to the table. And if anybody has any questions for the meantime, do not hesitate to reach out to me or post in the Facebook group. And I will post the recording here this afternoon. And yeah, thanks for the questions, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.